In today's video, we'll be taking a look at this absolute gem of a find here at the Junkyard. But also, stick around to see what other JDM treasures we come across.
Oh my goodness, y'all. Why am I seeing an at the Junkyard?
Hello and welcome, my name is Kevin, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel where I'm restoring and modifying my cars using primarily junkyard parts.
Alright folks, once again I'm out here at the Junkyard, my favorite place ever. And y'all know that I'm building a Honda Civic using only junkyard parts, right? But for today's episode, it's going to be for a different car actually. It's going to be for a project car that I was originally working on before I even picked up the Honda Civic. In a moment, I'm gonna pull up on the car and you'll see what it is. Hopefully if it's still here. It's been here for a month now and I'm just now making a video on it. Oh, I see it. There it is.
After some walking, we finally get to the car that I was so excited to find. And well guys, would you look at that? We've got ourselves a Datsun 280ZX. Now it's not every day you find one of these here, so to see one in person at the Junkyard as a Datsun owner, it feels like you've just found a treasure chest full of gold. For an old car such as this, there's not much of an aftermarket to buy parts for them, so the best thing to do is to search for quality OEM pieces and restore or preserve.
Yes, for all my OG subscribers, y'all know that I was working on a 280ZX before I was ever working on a Honda Civic. This is originally the platform that kind of blew me up on, social media or whatnot. I started off on TikTok just doing random bits of like taking pieces of my car off of Datsuns and just, bit by bit restoring my 280ZX in the driveway. Now, surprisingly enough, this junkyard in specific tends to come across a lot of these Datsuns, 280ZXs specifically. I'm trying to figure out who in the DFW area is junkyarding their 280ZX. It's like they might as well give it to me, But yeah, this is super cool, super rare to come across, even though I've come across like so many. In one of my previous videos, y'all saw me come across a turbo 280ZX. It was in a nice blue color. Didn't really capitalize off of that one, but it was cool to come across. But anyways, y'all seen my Datsun in my driveway, the maroon looking one. I've kind of already got all my parts for it, so I wouldn't really be picking anything off of this, but let's go ahead and just check it out and see what's still on it. It's not every day that you come across a Datsun at a junkyard.
Now what the heck happened here? I don't know if maybe the latch was broken or something, but man, this hood is bent to hell from someone trying to get to the engine. It makes me wonder what kind of tool they use to do this much damage. But if you guys didn't know, Datsun hoods open up from the top as opposed to regular modern day hoods. It's pretty neat and makes you feel like a badass when you open it up to do some work in the engine bay. But also, I should have taken this hood prop since mine doesn't have one for some reason. I didn't think of it at the time, but it does stay up by itself, so I'll be alright. And here goes the great L28E engine that most Datsun owners take pride in. Apparently, it's very reliable and super simple to work on.
Now my good friend Benny over at Classic Ride Society, he actually did a whole video covering this car over on his channel. So if you want to go check out the further details on this thing, yeah, we're just going to go over this pretty briefly. I mean, just from a glance, it still has a lot of parts on it, but some small parts that I would have taken, it seems like they're already gone.
Yeah, and it looks like someone's already gotten to this one, seeing how parts like the taillights and pieces of the trim are missing. And just from looking at this rear end, you can tell it's a newer facelifted model because of the rear bumper trim extending all around the quarter panel to the fender flare. Mine's a 1979 base model, so it's got the bare minimum when it comes to trim and accessories. Also, when I first bought the car, mine had all of the windows shattered out, and so I had to find some replacements quickly to avoid the rain and bugs from getting inside. And luckily I was able to do all of that from junkyard donors. And it looks like this one's got T-tops on it. I guess that was just the trend back then, because lots of cars from this day and age seem to have them in their designs. And so these became an option for the 1980 and newer models.
So the cool thing about these T-tops is they actually come off. So it's sort of like a convertible. Let's go ahead and jump in.
Although I'm not quite sure where you would store them while you're driving. There is a lot of space in the hatch, but I wouldn't want them bouncing around back there since they are made of glass. But yeah, super cool feature. I like how it gives you the freedom to have the vibes of a sporty convertible. But I think my gripe about it though is they're pretty damn heavy, and if the rubber seals go bad, it could start leaking from the top.
Yeah, it's not really my most favorite design ever, but it's cool nonetheless. Just go ahead and reach into the driver's side and check out that side.
Oh, locked. Well, it seems like the driver door is stuck like how mine is sometimes. Not sure what it is, but maybe the mechanism's just getting worn out. But what's funny is that both my 280ZX and my Z31 have this issue. I'll have to look into that soon, but check out the interior on this Datsun. It's pretty torn up in here, but the dashboard's looking real nice. Most of the front interior is all plastic, so typical things to watch out for is them being brittle and faded from sitting in the sun. And whoa guys, take a look at this digital dash. For a while, I never even knew this was an option for the 280ZX, as I've only ever seen them inside of Z31s, but it's super cool to come across. And just a few little details I noticed that were different from mine were some of these extra buttons and electrical features that were offered for the later models. I wanted to get a better look at the interior for the hatch, so let's open this up real quick. I can already see that someone's taken the panels for the sides as well as the carpet for the hatch. And as for parts, I could probably use the whole left side for mine.
And it seems like this one's naturally got black interior, which is what I'm converting mine to. I basically spray painted all of my interior, but had I come across this first, I would have simply just swapped this out.
And actually, I still need to paint this side for mine, and the leather pieces for the quarter windows look to be in better condition as well.
I totally forgot what else I needed for my car, but I'm pretty sure some of the interior pieces would do nicely in mine.
I'll have to come back another day to grab them. Oh yeah, and did I mention that these cars are notorious for being rust buckets? Usually it's underneath, but somehow it's up here on the hatch, eating away at the paint. And let's take a quick look underneath at the wheel well. Although there's not much to see since it's been dropped on the floor. Wow.
I didn't even notice these door cards are in like super good condition. Granted, it is torn up a little bit here and there, but I think you could definitely restore this.
But it is missing a few pieces like the armrest and some of the trim. Here goes another cool feature that I overlooked. It's got the electric windows as opposed to the manual crank. And guys, check out these gauges. Such a sweet design that really gives the interior some style points. And they look even cooler in the older Datsuns. And here I was, shocked to find out that this glove department has little indentions that seem to be for cups.
Guys, is that for cup holders? Is that what that is?
Old cars didn't really come with cup holders, so I thought this was pretty neat. But also, I should have taken it home with me. And here, I'm kind of just looking around to see what little things I could possibly take from my car. Maybe as a souvenir, so I figured this cigarette lighter would be a nice detail to have in my car.
Yeah, I guess if there's anything I'm gonna take off of this, I'll just take this. I'll just take the cigarette lighter.
And here goes the original steering wheel for the 280ZX. It's not my most favorite design, and I actually swapped mine out for a previous version. But yeah, this car's got a lot of quirks when it comes to the design. For example, this rusted out footwell. Just look how brittle this is. I could probably kick a hole in the floor and touch the road. And I feel like this is a common spot because mine kind of looks like this. Now taking a look at the exterior, let's go ahead and see what kind of parts that I would have taken off of this thing. Now I am missing these plastic pillar trim pieces on the side here, but it seems like someone else was missing theirs as well. So these vents that would have been right here, mine are broken off at the ends, so finding these in one piece would have been really nice for my car. Fenders are in good condition for anyone that's needing that. And coming down to the suspension, I believe this car's got the power steering option, as opposed to my manual steering rack. But one thing I do actually need is a new windshield since mine's got a bunch of cracks in it, but it seems like this one's no good either. I guess I wasn't satisfied with just a cigarette lighter, so I'll just show y'all real quick how to take this little trim piece off of the door pillar. It's pretty simple. All you really need is a 10mm socket with an extension to undo the bolt that's behind the panel. But also I think it's connected to the seatbelt, so go ahead and take that off first and it'll expose this bolt. And after you unbolt it, it comes right off of the car. And depending on what model you have, these actually came in different designs. Originally, I was thinking about blacking out the entire trim with Plastidip, but lately I don't mind the chrome. I think it looks alright. And check this out guys, it's got the original spare tire on it. Probably installed just to roll it over here to the junkyard.
Yeah guys, the only thing that I'm really desperately needing is pretty much the windshield. But this one's got a big ass crack in it as well. Oh my god, there's no way. You will not believe what I just found here at the junkyard. This is why I love going to the junkyard. Coming here every other day, just searching and searching and searching. You never know what you come across. Guys, why am I seeing this here?
What? Guys, it's a freaking RX7. Specifically the FC model, like the white one in Initial D.
Oh my goodness, y'all. Why am I seeing an RX7 at the junkyard? Who got rid of this perfect looking shell?
This is a car that I never thought I would ever see at a junkyard, given its popularity. But man, I'm super curious about this car's story, and how the heck did it even end up here at the junkyard?
Oh man, guys, what's crazy is that the junkyard, they hid this all the way in the back, so I had to walk the entire yard just to find this here.
I'm willing to bet that this was someone's garage queen, because for being an almost 40-year-old car, the shell looks to be in immaculate condition, unlike that Datsun we saw earlier. And I wonder what this sticker represents. Any of you Mazda fanboys know?
Yo, am I seeing that right? What is this sticker right here? What does this symbolize?
Well, I did some research and apparently it's a sticker which celebrates the RX-7's success in multiple racing leagues and championships during the 80s. So I guess it's just a sticker that gives the car its bragging rights.
This is in such a nice color too. It's in like a smoky gray finish, real sleek. Once again, shout out to Benny. He actually put me on game. He told me that this was here at the same yard, so I had to drive out here and see it for myself. He was telling me how he was trying to pull off parts from the engine. I think he might have taken the rotary inside of there. But yeah, engine's gone, but the whole shell is here, man. This is insane. This is crazy. Man, guys, you don't know how shocked I am to see this here. If y'all don't know, here's a fun fact about me. The FC RX7 is actually my dream car. I know y'all see my channel as like, you know, a Honda channel, plus I got a Datsun, but I think everything is a stepping stone towards me getting an FC RX7. So to see this here, it's kind of dream crushing, but but also very cool at the same time.
So now let's finally take a look inside and see what's left of it. And wow, am I surprised to find everything basically still intact. And hey look, this car's also got the glove compartment cup holders. I guess these were popular during time of drive-in restaurants and movie theaters. Now looking inside, I found me a neat little souvenir. It looks to be some touch-up paint for an OEM Mazda color. This was really cool to find and adds some more detail about the car. You could tell the owner really cared for this thing.
Dude, this is sick. Gotta squeeze in. Woo! Oh yeah. Where can I put y'all? There he goes. Oh man, dude. Bro, hell yeah. This is so cool. Oh man, guys, this is the very first time I'm inside of my dream car. Just imagine driving this thing on the road. The interior is so clean too. I'm not much of a fan of red interior, but you know, as I grow older, as I get more mature, I think red kind of settles in nicely. Gives off that nice old man mature vibe. But yeah, very classy. It's actually, dude, it low-key feels like I'm in a Supra. Like the foam part on the doors, they kind of curve in like a Supra cockpit. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but yeah, it's a This is very cool. For an old car, this is actually very spacious as opposed to the FD. I feel like the FD is really small, but this, man, I have so much room. I mean, I'm not that tall myself, but I think this is a very comfortable seating position for a guy like myself. But man, dude, this car is literally perfect inside and out. Oh my God, look at the, it's almost like this came straight out of the dealership, right off of the show floor. Man, nothing inside of here is like torn up or anything. This suede, is this suede? I don't know if it's suede. The headboard is like very nicely done up. Guys, I'm just in disbelief right now. Right now, I'm manifesting. I'm gonna own an FC RX7. Yeah, this is super cool. Oh man, all right, let's step out. Sweating my ass off in here.
Rest in peace to this fallen RX7.
Usually I don't like coming to this junkyard just because it's so hard to traverse and it's always so muddy and everything. And usually there's not a lot of cool cars, but this time around, man, I've seen a Datsun. I've seen this freaking RX7. What else are we gonna come across?
Miata. So here's another popular car in the scene, the MX-5 Mazda Miata. I'll probably never own one of these, but I can see why folks love it so much. Like I said before, this is kind of the Honda Civic of the Mazda world. You just see so many of these being thrashed around and whatnot. But yeah, they're cool.
Oh man, found ourselves another Miata, boys. Hey, y'all tell me something. What does this emblem signify? Is this just a different variation from Mazda? Is this a MX Miata? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think last time we found an NB. But yeah, hey, don't these go for a lot of money?
And as I pop the hood, I noticed that the hoods on these cars are super lightweight. Like, it's almost comical as you see me tossing it up right here. But yeah, here goes the engine. Oh, and then some of you guys were correcting me in the previous video how the battery being inside of the trunk is actually factory so that the weight could be distributed properly. I never knew that, so thanks to y'all who commented that. The more you know.
But yeah, it's about 5 o'clock, yard's about to close. Let's go ahead and get up out of here. I gotta stop by AutoZone to actually pick up a part for my Datsun. My car doesn't run actually. That's why it's been sitting in the background for all these videos. Doesn't want to power up. What I'm gonna assume is it's probably a bad alternator. For all these years that I've owned it, I never really replaced it. So, you know, it's a 40-year-old car. I don't know how old the original alternator is inside of that thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab me a new one. It's probably gonna run me like 150 at AutoZone, brand new. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that part and we're gonna go back home and throw it in. Hopefully that starts up my car. That way I can finally drive it around, transport it to another location, and have it out of my way once I start spraying down the Civic. So yeah, I'll see y'all there. All right, I lied. Apparently it's a special order. I checked online, I thought it told me that it had it here in store, but apparently not. I'm gonna have to order it and wait a week. Once it comes through the mail, I'll install it for you guys.
And just a few days later, the alternator came through, went ahead and dropped $150 for a brand new one that comes with a lifetime warranty.
Alright, let's go ahead and get to work on it. It's been a while since I started this thing up. Like I said before, it's been having issues. Hopefully it's just an alternator. It is an old car. I haven't changed any of that in a long time, so I'll get into the story of it later on in the video, but there's not much left to do with it other than like general maintenance. As far as modifying, I kind of have it the way that I want it right now. Except for the rear end. I did want to do a tube chassis, not tube chassis, but bash bar for the rear.
Yeah, with the rear bumper off of the car, you're left with those two thingies sticking out, and it's kind of an eyesore. So I figured a bash bar would be a good bumper option.
But alright, let's go and pop the hood and get to work. about like 6 o'clock right now. I've only got like 2 hours before the sun sets. Yeah, let's get to it.
So this next half of the video is going to be pretty much a POV of me replacing a bunch of different parts on the car in hopes of getting it started back up. So if you're new to the 280ZX platform, I hope this video helps you out. Alright, so first off, we're just going to identify where exactly the alternator is inside of the engine bay. So it's going to be up at the front on the passenger side, and if you've got power steering on your car, it would be right below it. And let's just get a real quick look at the brand new alternator from AutoZone. You just want to do a quick visual inspection just to make sure that everything looks the same as your old one. I know very well how it feels to get a part in the mail and do all the work just for it not to fit. So you always got to double check to make sure it is the correct part for your car. So now let's grab your tools and start breaking some of these bolts loose. I believe you need a 14 and a 12mm socket to take out the 3 bolts off of the alternator. You got one 14mm bolt up top and 2mm bolts on the bottom side. Alright, so it's a little awkward getting to these bottom bolts with all of the wires in the way, so let's go ahead and disconnect all of them. You've got this main connector that looks like a T, just pull to unplug. Then the battery connection that's held in with an 8mm nut, and then the ground wire that's held in with just a screw. And just be sure to note down exactly how the wiring looks so that you can install the new one exactly the same. I was a bit confused at first because I seen this random wire that wasn't plugged into anything, as well as this extra insert on the alternator that had nothing plugged into it. Yeah, information on this car is so outdated that all of the pictures that I'm trying to look at on these forums, they're all broken. So it was hard finding a straight answer to what all of these connections are. For example, I've got no clue what this is, but it's hooked up along with the battery cable and into the alternator with the screw. And also I found out that this extra insert is for another field wire to run power through, but it's unnecessary, hence why there's nothing plugged into it. As for the extra wire that I saw, still not sure what that's for, but anyways, here's me just unbolting whatever that I see and mentally noting down what goes where. But now that these wires are out of my way, I can continue to fully unbolt the alternator off of the car. And then this bolt's a little tough to reach into, but it's directly on the other side of that bolt that we just took out from the bottom. You just gotta kind of blindly feel around for it with your fingers, then get your socket or wrench on there once you do. And the belt also makes it a little difficult, so once the alternator is loose enough to wiggle around, you should be able to slide that belt off to the side so that you can reach the bolt a lot better. Now here I've got it fully unbolted and just hanging there. There should be plenty of space to maneuver it out of there, but to make life easier, I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt the bracket that was holding in the alternator from the top, and just move that out of my way. And with that, our alternator is finally out. To be honest, I should have just done this first and had AutoZone test my alternator for me before buying a brand new one. But like I said, it is an old car, so it's due for some new parts anyways. And so real quick, going back to whatever this is, you can see where it's connected on the old one. I'm just gonna hook it up the exact same way onto the new alternator. Alright, so once you've got the alternator bolted in from the bottom, go ahead and slip the belt back on while it's still loose. Then you're going to want to grab a long tool like a breaker bar or some sort of crowbar and wedge it in between the alternator and the engine block so that you can pry down on the alternator to give the belt some tension while you bolt it back in from the top. Just make sure it's on there nice and snug, not so tight and not so loose. Alright, so now just torque everything down and make sure the alternator is on there good. After that's done, go ahead and start reconnecting all of the wires back up. And there we are. Brand new alternator is all hooked up and good to go.
Alright guys, so the only thing left is to put in the battery, and well, I've got the old one right here on the floor. Just gonna stop by the auto shop and grab me a new one and then throw it in and see if it works.
Alright then y'all, we've now got a brand new alternator and a brand new battery inside of the car. Now let's see if she wants to start up for us. Well, that was a fail. Let's check it out and see if there's anything that we missed. Well, what do we have here? When I got out to take a look, it smelled awfully a lot like gas and immediately noticed it leaking from the fuel filter. Yeah, a whole lot of it was leaking from the bottom of it, so this is probably why she's not starting.
Alright guys, so I've determined that it probably wasn't even the alternator at all. I'm gonna guess that it was simply just the fuel filter. It's probably clogged up in there and then it's not pushing any of the fuel out into the engine, so man, a whole bunch of spending money for nothing. I got this silly I got that stupid hat on me. If y'all didn't know, sometimes I have the POV footage using this hat. But anyways, initially when I bought the car, the previous owner, they put in the new fuel filter for me, so it's been what, like 2 or 3 years now. I haven't changed it out since, so it's bound to be all clogged up in there. That's probably the reason why it's leaking from the bottom. But
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and swap out this fuel filter for a new one, see if that does the trick. But so far, we've got a brand new alternator, a new battery. I've recently swapped the starter as well as spark plugs and wires, so we should be good to go once that filter's in. Alright, so before throwing in this new filter, I'm gonna go ahead and cover the underside with an old towel to catch any gasoline that spills out whenever I remove the filter. So it's a pretty simple job. It's held into a bracket and the hoses are held in with these tightening clamps. We've got one up top and another one on the bottom to unscrew. You can usually get this off with just a flat head. And so right here, I'm unbolting the bracket so that I can access the clamp on the bottom hose a lot easier. Okay, so now that it's off, I can reach in and get a better angle with my flathead. Then once those clamps are loosened, we just pull the hoses right off and turn the old filter on its side to avoid making a mess. And to put on the new one, just reverse the steps and make sure the clamps are on there tight. And voila, we got our brand new fuel filter in, quick and easy. Now let's see if she finally starts.
Oh man, maybe you just don't got no gas in it. Yeah, let me go fill up a canister real quick and drop a gallon inside of there, see how that fares.
Alright, so I made a quick pit stop to the gas station to bring back some gas, and we're just gonna go ahead and fill her up. Hopefully, after this she'll start up. I don't know, we'll see. Fingers crossed, y'all, she's gonna start up today. that, guys, with a brand new fuel filter and some gas in it, she's finally started up and running.
Alright, so now that I have this thing running, I'm gonna try to limp it to the gas station and put some more gasoline inside of it. My clutch pedal is actually dead. I just ordered some new parts from O'Reilly's. I gotta install that, but I'm just gonna see if it can still shift into gear. Maybe I can limp it over there. Alright, never mind. It absolutely doesn't want to go into gear, so I can't even move it from this spot. Yeah, it's just stuck. Alright, now I gotta deal with this dead pedal. I ordered a new clutch master and slave, so hopefully get that in the car by today and then we can get this thing moving. Guys, I gotta tell you, I'm quite tired of going back and forth to the auto parts store. It's kind of just what the reality of working on cars is. It's like, you know, you figure you need one thing and then, oh man, it leads to another. And it's like, oh man, I need this part, I need this tool. Just one big back and forth. But it's all good. Today's my day off. I have all day to do this, so hopefully I should have this up and running by the end of the day. I mean, it now starts, but now I have to get it driving on the road. So hopefully with these parts, it should work. Now, I think what I'm gonna do first is I want to change out that master cylinder because mine is actually broken. The cap, it doesn't seal properly, so that entire time it's just been all loosey-goosey in there, and there's like no pressure at all. And that's what's causing the pedal to be dead at the moment. So hopefully once I get this new one inside, we'll have some good pressure going, and then we'll be able to shift into gear. I'm guessing it's this.
All right, let's open up our new master cylinder and see what we're working with. So first things first, we've got to take the old one out. It's just being held on by two nuts on the firewall and attached to the clutch fluid line. And then we've also got to unbolt a few things underneath the dash from the pedal itself. There's a few things in the way, like this reserve tank, which I think is for the windshield washer fluid. It just slides right out and you can set it aside. So now I'm unbolting the two nuts using a 12mm socket with extensions attached. It's a little difficult to get to because the brake booster is in the way, but the extensions definitely help. So now that we've got it loose, I need to get it off of the clutch line using a 10mm wrench, but this little electrical component is in my way as well. But we could just take this off using a screwdriver. And now that that's off, we have plenty of room to start wrenching. Probably should have done that from the start to make the two firewall bolts easier to work with. And so the nut holding in the clutch line was starting to round off on me, so I grabbed one of these flare nut wrenches to get a better grip on it. Using these for brake lines and clutch lines work great. Definitely recommend getting a set of these. Now before we're able to fully take this part off, we gotta unbolt a few things underneath from inside. When we take a look underneath, we see that there's a bolt that holds the fork of the master cylinder rod onto the clutch pedal. To take this off, there's a metal pin on the other side that locks the bolt in that you've got to take out before you're able to fully slide the bolts off. This is where most of my struggles were when dealing with this install. As you can see, it's a very awkward position with limited space to work with, but hopefully with a set of pliers you'll be able to get it out like I finally did. Alright, so I was struggling with the next part of the process, so I decided to take a break and grab some new tools from Harbor Freight. Pretty much I was tired of scavenging for tools in my own tool set, so I decided to get a new set to make up for all of the tools that I've lost so far. I didn't have any specific brands in mind here, I just grabbed whatever seemed useful for a typical repair, like this set of flare nut wrenches, as well as these wrenches that have the built-in ratchet spanner at the end. Also got me some deep sockets and some extra goodies like magnetic trays and LED lights to make my life easier. So as we get back to the install, this part right here is what was holding me up. The fork is preventing the master cylinder from being removed from the firewall, so we've got to unbolt it from the rod, but I didn't have a wrench with the correct size to crack that nut that was behind the fork, locking it in. But of course after that Harbor Freight trip I got what I needed and was able to get a wrench on there to finally remove that fork. And with that, the master cylinder is finally free. Oh man, and look how crusty this thing is. Definitely don't want any of that crap inside of my lines. And here they are side by side, just as a little comparison. And the main reason why I needed to replace this is because the cap on the old one was broken. I had to seal it with some tape, but obviously that didn't work. Because of this, it would just, you know, keep losing fluid and then get a bunch of crap in there. So yeah, definitely needed a new one. Yeah, well, I'm losing daylight here, so I'm just gonna continue this tomorrow. Spent like a majority of my time driving back and forth to places, getting the proper tools, getting the proper parts and everything, so it's kind of how it goes. Yeah, but now that we finally got that out, bought us some new tools, tomorrow's install should be a lot smoother. Okay, so it's now time to put in the new master cylinder, so I'll just unscrew these bits and leave them near the pedals until we need them. Just do a quick inspection, making sure everything is good to go, and seeing if the cap seals properly, since that was my issue on the old one. But the install is pretty straightforward, just like the fuel filter. Just redo everything you did to take it off. So I'm gonna kind of position it into place and then install the clutch line first, and then insert the master cylinder into the firewall, and then put the two nuts back on to hold it into place. And so after it's in there, we'll go underneath to the pedals and re-thread that nut and fork onto the rod and slip it over into the pedal so that we can insert that bolt and locking pin to finalize the assembly. Now I didn't record this section just because it was awkward to do at the same time while I was working on it, but you should get the gist of it. This was by far the hardest part of the install because I had to kind of contort my body just to put this on. But as for tools, I just used a wrench for the nut and some pliers to slide that pin in. Alright, the last part we gotta install is the clutch slave. So let's go ahead and jack up the car. Now when it comes to jacking up my Datsun, I'm always sketched out because of how rusty it is. The jack points underneath are pretty rotted out and bent up, so I'm doing this with caution. As you can see, I've got all of my jack stands here all over the place, just to ensure my safety while being underneath the car. Because when it comes to a 40-year-old rust bucket, you can never be too safe about this. And also, it'd be easier to slide underneath the car if I took the wheel off, but I didn't want to waste time doing that, so yeah, I'm just gonna squeeze through. And after just a few seconds of being underneath there, I was like, yeah, let me go get a spare wheel in case this thing falls. And so real quick, let me just show y'all where exactly that clutch slave is located. If you go underneath the car, you can see that it's right below the starter, and it's only held in by 2 bolts and that clutch line. Now the bolts are on there pretty good, so hit it with some DW40 and use a breaker bar to crack them loose. And I can't quite remember, but I think they were 14mm bolts, with the hose line being a 17, I think? I don't remember because that bolt actually ended up being seized anyways, no matter what tool I tried on it. So I took a nap to reset my anger and frustration, which then led me to using a vice grip on its tightest setting, and that actually got it to crack. Yeah, I just needed something with teeth because of how rounded off this bolt was. All of my other tools kept slipping off, but this vice grip worked perfectly. So now that everything's all loose, you can go ahead and proceed to unbolt everything and twist the clutch slave off of the line. But be sure you have something to catch all of that extra clutch fluid that'll spill out of the hose. Alright, so we've got our parts side by side. I think the old slave was faulty, whereas the push rod just wouldn't extend, so it's a good thing that I got both the master cylinder and the slave together. Now as for installing, super simple, just reverse of what we just did. Twist the clutch slave onto the hose line first, and then bolt it back into the car. It's as easy as that. Alright guys, finally done. So all I'm gonna do now is just fill it up with fluid, and we'll try to bleed out the clutch, get all of that air out. This will be a one-man operation, so I'll be going back and forth from the driver's seat to underneath the car. I'm gonna pump it once, hold it down to the floor, and then get underneath the car and open up the bleeder valve, tighten it back up. Pretty much do that same process for like 15 minutes. So yeah, let's get to it. And like I said, we're just gonna fill her up with some clutch fluid. It should start going down once you pump the clutch. And And then once we get some pressure built up, we're just gonna loosen up the bleeder valve. That should spit out some of the air that's trapped inside of that line. Yep, so we loosen it and then tighten it back up with the clutch pedal still being depressed. And then we'll go ahead and pump it once, fill her back up, and then bleed the valve again. After doing this for a couple of cycles, you can see that my clutch pedal is starting to gain some pressure. It's finally coming back on its own. So I figure that's good enough for now. But yeah, if you ever have a dead clutch in your manual car, probably means that there's air inside of the line that you need to purge. So yeah, we're all done with that. I'm just gonna put everything back together and drop the car, and then we can finally start and move the car. Oh, and then I forgot to put that locking pin inside of that sliding bolt. This was the very last thing that I did because it just gave me so much trouble. Get you a pair of pliers and just try to shove it in there. Whew, that took way longer than that needed to be. Oh man, finally, everything's put together. Got a new alternator, got a new starter, got a new battery, new clutch master cylinder and slave. Now I'm gonna start it up, drive to the gas station, fill her up a little bit, and then yeah, I'm gonna go drive around. Main reason why I'm doing this is because I needed to move the car anyways. I'm moving it to a different location and just storing it away over there. That way I can have space in my driveway. Yeah, number one goal right now is I'm just trying to clear out the driveway. I've got way too many cars out here. Yeah, let's not make it look like a junkyard. But anyways, let's start her up. I'm actually really excited to drive this thing. I'm not gonna lie, this thing sounds like shit. It's like barely alive right now. Hopefully it can withstand a drive. I'm only like a few minutes out to a gas station. Shoot, I'm like 20 minutes away from that storage location I was gonna put this in. I don't know, we'll see. I have my tools with me. Hopefully I don't break down. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. This is scary as hell. It's really hesitating. I can feel it just wanting to give up on me, you know? But yeah, it's real sputtery. I don't know, I'm just gonna assume that maybe it's still having some fuel issues. But for now, I'm just limping it over there. Brakes are kind of crappy. As of right now, I'm kind of doing errands with the car. Just stopped by the post office and dropped off y'all's junkyard stickers. Be ready for those. I hope those get to y'all soon. It feels like a death trap driving this thing around. Like, I feel like I could break down at any moment. Like, this thing is loud as hell too. Just driving by like passerbys, they turn around to see what the hell's making all that noise. Yeah, this car's loud, stinky, all around rinky dinky. Speedometer doesn't even work. My turn signals don't work either. I don't know why. I gotta look at that later. But a lot of little small details that I gotta, you know, touch up on the car. It's drivable, but I wouldn't really call this a daily drivable. I'm kind of impeding on traffic a little bit, going so slow. I don't even know if my lights work at the moment. If I'm being honest, I think all it really needed was just a new fuel filter and to bleed my clutch. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the main things I really needed was a new clutch master cylinder, a slave, and a new fuel filter. You know, those aren't major issues, but thankfully we have it up and running now. So that's all I can say. You know, I'm blessed up right now. So hopefully we can make it to this next location all in one piece. I don't know, I guess I'll talk more about the car. Hopefully y'all can hear me. But quick little background on the car. I picked it up for maybe $1,500, something like that. Here comes the train.
know, when I bought it, it was in way worse condition than right now. It was in a like really faded red. All of the windows were busted out. I had to replace all of that. When I first bought it, it didn't start up. So I came back another day so that the previous owner could put in a new fuel filter. So even from the jump, it had fuel filter issues. All in all, yeah, you know, I was young. I picked the car up pretty damn cheap. I'm sure you could find another 280ZX out here for the low as well in this economy. These 280ZX models aren't really sought after, especially the 2+2 version. So, you know, if you guys ever want like cheap little rear wheel drive old car that you want to mess with, try to restore it yourself, I think these are a good platform. Plus the engines, they last forever apparently. The L28, yeah, this thing is going on for like 40-50 years, and hey, I haven't done anything to the engine. I've just done, you know, the basic general maintenance here and there, so, and it's still running. Much like the Honda Civics, these are a really good option to play around with. I know a lot of people like to throw in like V8s and swap it out with and all that jazz. Me personally, I'd be way too afraid to do that with this type of car because these cars are notorious for rust. Like all the Datsuns, all of the underbodies are just, it's completely rotted out. Suspension is ass. Yeah, I think people will convert it to S13 suspension, things like coilovers and the whole underbody. But yeah, I think my next Datsun project, I'm gonna do a body swap. That way it'll be way more reliable and I essentially just have the shell, the look of a Datsun. All right, here we go, trains pass by. Let's get to moving again. I got no power steering in this car, so kind of a workout. Tire pressure in the rear is pretty low. Hopefully those don't pop on me. Man, overall, it kind of drives as you would expect an old car would drive. Like, I'm hoping once I'm completely done with the Civic, I could get back to work on this thing. Well, actually, I've got quite a lot of cars in the driveway. As you see in the backgrounds, I have you guys see an Accord, you guys see another Datsun, and you see this one. Oh, and you see a Z31. But yeah, after I'm done with the Civic and maybe all of the other cars, I do want to get back to this one. But yeah, I've got little things here and there for this car. Like, I still need to finish up the interior. As far as that goes, I think I have the looks down to how I want it. Next up, I would just be doing general maintenance. Like, I really want to get this car like 100% road worthy. That way I can just daily drive it with no problem, with no worries, you know? So I think I would focus on the health of the motor as well as the suspension for now. As for right now, I'm just gonna store it away so that I could have some space in my driveway once I start spray painting the Civic. I think I'm gonna spray paint the other cars as well because I want to get rid of them, so might as well give it a fresh coat of paint before doing so. All right, well, I'm about to pull up to the spot to where I'm storing it, so I'm gonna leave y'all to the next few clips. Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like always, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I do want to work on this Datsun some more, so hopefully I can get some parts and content for y'all. But yeah, I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.